Imagine standing on a train platform, nowhere near danger, when suddenly an explosion knocks heavy equipment over and injures you. Now ask yourself, should the railroad be legally responsible for that injury? What makes this situation even stranger is that the explosion started with something small, a newspaper-wrapped package dropped while a man tried to board a train. This bizarre accident led to one of the most famous cases in American law, Palsgraf versus Long Island Railroad. Nearly every law student studies this case because it answers a crucial question in negligence law: how far does a person's legal responsibility actually extend? The case introduced a powerful concept that still shapes court decisions today: the idea of the foreseeable zone of danger. Let's go back to a busy railroad platform in New York in the 1920s. Helen Palsgraf had just purchased a train ticket and was waiting on the platform. She wasn't rushing anywhere or doing anything unusual. She was simply standing there, waiting for her train like thousands of commuters do every day. Meanwhile, another train at the station had already started moving. Two men suddenly ran toward it, trying to jump aboard before it left. One of the men managed to get onto the train without any trouble. But the second man struggled as he tried to climb aboard. He was carrying a small package wrapped in newspaper. As he attempted to jump onto the train, he appeared unsteady. Seeing this, a railroad guard standing on the train reached down to pull him in. At the same time, another guard on the platform pushed the man from behind to help him board. But during this moment of assistance, something unexpected happened. The man dropped his package onto the train tracks. At first glance, the package looked harmless. It was small and wrapped in ordinary newspaper. But the package contained fireworks. When it hit the rails, it exploded. The blast itself didn't injure Palsgraf directly, but the shockwave traveled across the platform. At the far end of the platform, large metal scales were shaken loose. They toppled over and struck Helen Palsgraf. Palsgraf sued the railroad company for negligence. She argued that the railroad employee's actions caused the chain of events that led to her injury. A trial court agreed with her and awarded damages. An intermediate appellate court also upheld that decision. But the railroad appealed again. Eventually, the case reached the New York Court of Appeals, the state's highest court. Now the judges had to answer a difficult question. Did the railroad actually owe Palsgraf a legal duty of care? In other words, could someone sue for negligence even if they were not a foreseeable victim of the defendant's actions? Chief Judge Benjamin Cardozo wrote the majority opinion. His reasoning would become one of the most influential ideas in tort law. Cardozo focused on a key principle: foreseeability. Negligence, he argued, depends on whether harm to a person was reasonably predictable. The railroad guards might have acted carelessly toward the man with the package. But nothing about the situation suggested danger to someone standing far away. From the guard's perspective, the package looked small and harmless. There was no reason to expect fireworks, or an explosion. And because that risk was not foreseeable, the law could not treat the railroad's conduct as a wrong against Palsgraf. The court ultimately ruled in favor of the railroad. Because Palsgraf was outside the foreseeable zone of danger, the railroad owed her no duty. This case created a major rule in negligence law: a defendant owes a duty of care only to foreseeable plaintiffs. In other words, the risk that can reasonably be perceived defines the duty that must be obeyed. But one judge strongly disagreed. Judge William Andrews wrote a famous dissent. Andrews argued that everyone owes a duty of care to society as a whole. If someone acts negligently, they should be responsible for the consequences. Instead of limiting duty, Andrews believed courts should focus on proximate cause. That means deciding how far the chain of events should legally extend. Under this view, the railroad's actions started the sequence that led to the explosion. And because that sequence injured Palsgraf, the railroad should be liable. Today, this debate still shapes negligence law. Courts constantly ask, was the plaintiff a foreseeable victim? Without limits like this, liability could become endless. A single careless act might expose someone to claims from people far removed from the event. Cardozo's approach helps draw a boundary around legal responsibility. Only those within the zone of danger can usually recover damages. Here's the key lesson from Palsgraf versus Long Island Railroad. Negligence isn't just about cause, it's about duty. If a person is outside the reasonably foreseeable zone of danger, the law usually says no duty was owed. And that single idea, foreseeability defining duty, is why this strange train platform accident became one of the most important cases in American tort law.